Hey everybody, it's Durger time. You know what that means. It's time for another episode of AEW New Era, where we take AEW after this change in momentum and see if we can kind of continue to build it while managing that expectation, managing that momentum, and managing, of course, the expectations of our owner, because we are playing as Cody Rhodes. We are playing as the Booker. We are managing these ever-dwindling momentum chips. Right now, I believe we have, I want to say, 16 on stage 1. Every time we lose a stack, something bad will happen. And it'll open up a new wrinkle in the works, in addition to having to have another objective. So it's bad news. We don't want to do it. We talked about maybe separating momentum between the shows, and maybe that would be a little bit easier. Totally possible, totally doable. Might be something I do after this. I'm going to give this one more week, one more go, and if I can't book Rampage to our average, which currently is 63, I'm going to hang it up and I'm going to separate them out, because it is a little bit difficult to get this to be meeting the average. It has been a big issue for Rampage for us. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I don't know if it's going to go well, but we will certainly try. I did add an extra event. A lot of you guys in the comments were talking about maybe doing one in October for a TV event. A lot of great suggestions for names, a lot of Halloween-themed ones. We went with Witching Hour, which I thought would be kind of interesting. So this is going to be a weird one, because we're going to have an event, and then right after that, we're going to have Full Gear in like 2 weeks after. So we're going to build towards this. It's not going to be like a momentous pay-per-view type of event. It'll be something like a Winter is Coming, where it'll be like a match card. There might be a belt on the line, things like that. So that's kind of the focus that we're going to have right there. So we do have these objectives we got to worry about still, and we're running a little bit close on time on some of them. Mostly it's the November ones. We have to hire a familiar face, free agent that used to be with WWE, get them in a feud with at least 55 Heat. Not impossible, certainly, but we have until week 1 of November. So that's gonna take a little bit of time. You know, is it doable? Yeah, probably. Actually, would that be? I might be wrong on that. Actually, I might have more time on that than I think. That might be the end. That should be maybe week 4 of November. I'll take a look at my calendar. Same thing. Shake up the tag scene. We got to pick a tag team to break up and book a feud that gets at least 60 Heat. That's going to be a little bit harder. It's still doable, but we got to find a team that can hold their own as singles and kind of make that an interesting element there. It's certainly doable, though. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that. And of course, our 4 pillars, either MJF, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, or Darby Allin, must be viewed as a major star. That's actually going to be the hardest of the bunch. Right now, our major stars are Danielson, Jericho, Punk, Moxley, Kenny, Paul White, somehow, Ric Flair, somehow, and Sting. And our stars are Hangman, Andrade, MJF, Darby Allin. So Darby Allin and MJF are definitely the two that could breach that barrier and become major stars for us. Right now, they're not quite viewed the same way. The problem is that our major stars are major stars. Like, damn, it's going to be hard to get, them to this level, potentially. Is it doable? Yeah. It's doable in 6 months, I think. We got to book them against those people. I would like to see also, Jon Moxley as a heel has been doing a lot of stuff for us here. Is he willing to put over one of them? Because if he is, I think that's definitely, would you be willing to lose to a Darby Allin, for example. I would have no complaints. Perfect. How about a MJF? I mean, none of these guys have creative control, so it doesn't really matter. I have no complaints. Perfect. How about a Jungle Boy? Jungle Boy's probably the one that they would have the biggest issue with. I'd be furious. So, Jungle Boy is probably the one that is going to be the hardest issue, which is why, actually, we have him working with Christian right now, right? Christian Cage is considered well-known. He's about the same as Jungle Boy. So hopefully the idea would be we would have them in a good feud and move Jungle Boy on to somebody bigger, somebody better, maybe a Miro or something like that, and build him up. But I don't think we're going to get him to major star anytime soon. But I think we can get him in position to be a thing in the future. But with Darby and with MJF, we definitely can probably make them major stars and move that needle. All right, we have a Rampage tonight, and then we have a regular Dynamite after that. We lost a lot of money last month, but I believe the majority of that came from us making a child company. So I'm not super concerned about our revenue at the moment. It's something to look at because I don't know how this company will do financially. I don't know. The TEW can be a little weird right now. Dark Order or AEW Dark with the Dark Order symbol currently losing some money there. I got to change its logo, but that's fine. It's going to lose money. We know that. It's just on YouTube. New Japan America losing money, but again, that's not a big deal for them. Everybody else is pretty much okay. The child companies are going to lose money, and that's really not the end of the world. Keeping an eye out on the NWA, I would love to attempt a takeover, but they are not in a bad financial situation right now. When that money dips, there's potential that we can scoop them up. Right now they're in another alliance, which is a problem. They're in the Championship Wrestling with Hollywood. They have an alliance with them. In the real world, they would be in both. But in this game, you can't have more than one alliance for some reason. So, whatever. Now, we have, in addition to that major objective, we do have to break up a tag team, hire a free agent. I had an idea for the free agent, so I'm going to put obviously we're going to get Bray Wyatt. That's an easy one. We're not going to count that because of course he's going to AEW and that's what it is. So we're going to bring him in as well. I'm going to bring in Sarah Logan. She's got some really good stats. She's a cool worker. She's got friends in AEW already. And I think we could probably book her. Well, one, our women's division kind of sucks, and we need a little bit more star power. She'll bring that because she used to be WWE. She's a good worker. She's mostly actually, her strongest skill set's hardcore, which is kind of interesting, but she's fairly well-rounded everywhere else. But very charismatic, very good on a microphone. If we needed to put somebody with her, like she could be a mouthpiece, we can make a stable out of her. I don't want to just redo the Riot Squad, but there's options here. In terms of popularity, she's not like the most popular, but she's going to come in with a pretty consistent base. I think we could do something with her. Although she does have an unknown return date on hiatus, so that's a problem. So that might not actually work out. So let me know who I should bring into the fold, I guess. In the comments in this episode, who do we want to bring in to try to fulfill that objective of the familiar face? We need someone that can get at least a 55 heat for a storyline, which should not be too difficult, that used to be in WWE, that we can book into a storyline. Let me know. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get some Rampage. We are back in the southeast for Rampage. Where are we? Watsco Center, which is in Florida. And we do have a backstage incident. Looks like potentially a wrestler's court situation, and that it is. Earl Hebner failed to pick up his share of a tab. Obviously has to buy drinks for the boys, and Emi Sakura and Riho passed on tips on microphone work. Very good. Locker room controls, we no longer need to open form, which is good. So we've kind of dealt with that. We have tension with Colton Gunn. Obviously, Colt Cabana and CM Punk have tension, which wasn't originally in there. I had to go through another pass. If you guys could think of any relationship issues with AEW wrestlers, I found that there were things that should have existed that did not exist in the save. So it's very easy to add. If you guys can think of any that are, whether they're proteges, whether there's friendships or hatreds. For example, as we were talking about Sarah Logan, I noticed that Ruby Soho, who I think bought a house next to her because they wanted to be around each other so much, didn't have a strong friendship, which seemed a little weird. So we kind of altered and added some of that. Obviously we have a lot of friendships in the locker room here, which is very good, but there's probably some other ones as well that are maybe some negatives and things like that. Now, we do want to try to continue to foster that goodwill. Well, Pac and 10. I would love to see like a protege here. Unfortunately, did not get that. Absent workers tonight. Anna Jay's out injured. Brandy Rhodes still on maternity leave. Lance Archer is working at New Japan. Sean Spears out injured. Okay. Not a big deal. From our last show, obviously we had the stoppage with Malachi beating up Cody Rhodes and wanting him to quit. Sting versus Punk did very well. Kylie Ray gets jumped, and then Ruby Soho made the save. Moxley cutting a promo on Danielson. Danielson wants a shot at the IWGP US title, which would be super cool. Can't do that tonight, obviously, but that'll probably be next Dynamite. Christian insults Jungle Boy. So, we had some stuff going on, and obviously this tension between the Bullet Club and the Elite still fuming. Now, I want to try to book the best damn possible show for ratings. I want to see what we can do to just completely blow out the ratings on Rampage. Because if I can't get it to a 63 with the best possible matches, then we're going to have to just score it differently. And we're going to have a separate chart. So, probably going to be very story light, because we have to have like 3 matches and just kind of have to do it. And, we're just going to have exhibition matches, and we're just going to put on a clinic. So let's go ahead and let's do that and see what we end up getting. Alright guys, so here's the best freaking Rampage I could make. No women's matches, unfortunately. Slight story, mostly exhibition work. We kind of moved the storyline a little bit on a couple matches, but I just want to see what we could do. Is this the best we could have done? Probably not, but for a Rampage, I think this is the best we're going to get. 65 minutes, 74% matches. Let's see. We start to show off. Really, Jericho needs a script? Weird. Punk cuts a promo to start the show. That cheap babyface pop. Chris Jericho interrupts to stare down a bit. A little bit of a holy shit moment. Jericho says, it's been a while since we saw each other. I've seen you taking a shining to the younger talent here, so have I. So why don't we have a match tonight? Your protege, Darby, versus mine. And with us together, let's see in a tag match who's better. Very simple sports entertainment style match. So it's going to be CM Punk and Darby versus Sammy and Chris Jericho. Jericho needed a script for some reason. I don't know why. But it's very weird to me. I can't think of somebody that's more masterful on improv than he is. But whatever. Gets us a 79. A good way to start the show off. Got a very strong start. Got the crowd hotter, so very good. We have a match that kind of underperforms a little bit. Bryan Danielson, an exhibition match against Miro, who recently lost the TNT title. CJ Perry had come back and is ringside with him. And Bryan Danielson's second match. He defeats Miro in 15 minutes, pinfall, does a quick cradle, the most dangerous move in sports entertainment. He gets him with a roll-up, out-wrestles him. He can't out-power Miro, but Bryan Danielson can certainly out-wrestle him. We keep Miro booked strong, so he's the tougher competitor, but Danielson is quick-witted and is able to outmaneuver him and get him into a tactical pin. It's a 66, it's not too bad. Afterwards, we had a pretty good angle here afterwards where Bryan Danielson celebrates his win, kind of slinks away, realizing Miro's a hot cannon. And Miro, who normally would be tearing things apart, is instead greeted by CJ Perry in the ring, who I keep on apparently calling CJ Parker. So Juice Robinson versus CJ Parker versus CJ Perry. The winner gets to be Juice Robinson. CJ Perry ends up chastising Miro in the ring about his loss. He sort of looks like she's got his balls. He looks like a sad little puppy as he's being scolded, and she looks dominant above him. So we're building up the sort of situation that Miro was this really tough, dominant force, but apparently maybe CJ Perry's the mastermind behind him, sort of an attack animal to send out, and she's very upset about this loss. We'll see how that plays out. Sort of the long story there between the two of them. And Danielson gets another win, gets a 70, not too bad. We have a tag match between the Lucha Bros and Kingston and Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston had some words. Jon Moxley's clearly going into a different, darker direction for himself, but Eddie Kingston's still his friend. They haven't tagged much, but they're still buddies. Lucha Bros obviously being our champions do defeat the duo singles as it should be for the most part. 11 minutes in a pretty decent match. Rey Fenix actually pins Eddie Kingston with a quick roll-up. During the match, we also had Andrade distract Moxley to kind of allow Eddie Kingston to be separated and then beat up by the Lucha Bros. Jon Moxley had a 84, Rey Fenix had a 62, Pentagon had a 66, and Kingston had a 65. We kind of advanced all storylines involving these guys here. Gets us a 68. It's not too bad. Can't complain about that. Afterwards, a kind of an underperforming segment here. Phoenix, having beat Eddie Kingston, grabs his TNT title, holds it up, mocking Eddie. Kind of calling out that, like, hey, I beat the TNT champ. That should put me in line for this belt. Of course, Eddie Kingston is having open challenges, so Rey can step into the ring at any time, but certainly you can think that he is going to contemplate that and go in. Lucha Bros have a relationship with Eddie Kingston, so we don't know how much of a friendly rivalry this will be. They were part of a short-lived faction when Pac was away, but things change, and Andrade is their new sort of leader, and we'll see how that comes into play, if it does at all. Ray foreshadowed a heel turn during the segment. Seems like that's fine. 57. I have to remember to add them as a commit to turn to bring them all heel. Our main event, CM Punk and Darby Allin versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Very strong showing here. We have CM Punk and Darby Allin defeat Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara in 15 minutes. Darby Allin pins Chris Jericho with a coffin drop. Actually, that's wrong. I had him scheduled to pin Sammy Guevara. But sure, I guess I clicked it wrong. That's fine. If Chris Jericho was fine with that, then that's even better. Darby Allin's our rising star. I figured Chris Jericho wouldn't even accept it, so I gave it to Sammy. But not too bad. Darby took a crazy bump during this match, as he would. And yeah, everyone did pretty good. Sammy had a 57. Jericho had a 76. 83 for Punk. 71 for Darby Allin. Gets us a 79. You know what? We might be okay here. We'll see here. Let's see. We need a 63. What did we get? Hey, we got a 70. So what that actually means... Oh, I get a alarm notification. Thank you for beeping. Thank you for celebrating Windows 10. So we gain an extra chip. We gain one more chip. Remember, if it's 5 or higher from the average, we only get back 1. It's easier to lose momentum than build momentum. Unless we get those objectives. Those objectives are going to give us big chunks back. So we did okay there. I still don't know. I feel like that was kind of a cheaty... there's a very cheaty showing here to just put Darby and CM Punk, Chris Jericho, and really just make a giant Rampage. We still advanced some stuff. We still managed to do that, but that's an unconventionally high rating for a Rampage, but it was doable. All right, we're back. We got 1 month remaining of a contract with QT Marshall. We should probably renew that. Give him another 3 years, sure. Expensive, whatever. Seriously? Okay. Ethan Page is relocated in Puerto Rico. That's a move. Sure. We had a 1.51 rating for Rampage. Very good show. Paul Ellering's retiring. Overall, Rampage was viewed as great. So, very good. Very good show. We have to book a Elevation because we still have that, so we still have to worry about that. Not a huge deal, so let's go ahead and get through that, and then I'll catch you guys for our next episode of Dynamite. Okay, well, let's move out of the Southeast. Let's go to... Well, we were up in North. Let's go down to Tri-State. I mean, Duchess Stadium, which is in New York. That's fine. We'll move our way down. Though, with Rampage being down south, that was kind of weird, but whatever. That's fine. We have a backstage incident involving Chuck Taylor. What'd you do? Help create a fun and relaxing atmosphere, finding a discarded karaoke machine and starting an impromptu show. And Bryce Remsburg also entertained the locker room by putting on a poker tournament. Very good. We will continue to meddle. You know what we're going to do? We're going to pull a rib. We got some people... Anybody upset? Got a lot of normal morale. Oh, I saw one. I irritated Jake Hager. Let's pull a rib on him. Pull a practical joke. It's gone on down well with the rest of the locker room. Didn't do anything for him. Sometimes they are like, haha, that's funny. Not a big deal, but It is what it is. So what do we got on the show tonight? Well, got a lot of potential options here. Obviously, I think Rey Fenix versus Eddie Kingston seems like a good match for a Dynamite. So we will certainly look at that. We also have to find out a little bit more about Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black. Does not seem like it's done. CM Punk, nothing going on with him anymore, so we got to figure out what to do with him. Danielson wants that shot at the IWGP US title. Is that another Dynamite match? Maybe. Who do we have missing right now? Lance Archer's still working in New Japan, so it ain't going to be tonight. But that's fine. Let's go ahead and let's book the show and see what we come out of it. Alright, guys, we got a match. A whole show, I should say. Dynamite, 120 minutes. So we used up pretty much the whole thing. A little bit heavier on the promo side. We had 64% matches. We'll see how that shakes out. And we'll see how this card is. This is kind of an interesting random one, I will say. It feels like the most Dynamite episode that I booked. So I'm not really sure how this is going to go, but let's go ahead and let's take a look at what the show looks like. We start the show with a pretty good segment, 69 rating. Chris Jericho is in the ring with a microphone addressing his loss last week at Rampage, and calls out Darby Allin. Darby Allin comes out to the stage with Sting, and Jericho kind of cuts a promo on him and goes, I have to admit, something happened on last week's, Rampage, it should be, that I did not expect. As I lay on the ground, looking at the lights at the ceiling, after a sucker punch, those lights were blotted out by a flying body. Darby Allin's coffin drop knocked me right out. I didn't expect that. I'll admit it. I believe the last time we faced, I had him tied up in a corner, and a quick Judas effect had him seeing stars. The way I see it, we're 1-1. And honestly, after this summer, I don't like ties in my ledger anymore. I can't shake the feeling that I need to finish this. So Darby, how about we have a match tonight? No tag team partners, no CM Punk, no Sammy Guevara, and we see how this shakes out. Gets the crowd hotter, gets off to a strong start. We have a main event tonight, Chris Jericho and Darby Allin in a singles match. Going to be a 69 segment here. Hopefully the match is pretty solid. Afterwards, we have a pretty underwhelming women's division match. The Inspiration versus Chris Statlander and Tay Conti. Jessie McKay had a 45. Cassie Lee had a 50. Tay Conti had a 48. And Chris Statlander had a 44. We gained a little bit of storyline heat for Inspiration. The crowd was already hot and didn't need working, which is unfortunate. And it did have a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Ultimately, Cassie and Jessie defeat Chris Statlander, Tay Conti in 9 minutes and 50, with Cassie Lee submitting Tay Conti. It's a 41. It's not horrible. The segment's okay for what it is. Again, we're still trying to build up something with Kylie Ray, and it's not really working too much, but we'll do our best to try to do it. Inspiration end up beating down their opponents after the match, and that ultimately leads to the team of Ruby Soho and Kylie Ray to come out and make the save and try to defend them. Leaves the Inspiration kind of backing away, and a little bit of a square off and a face off there. Ruby Soho hinted at a face turn, but it got little reaction. She's not very good at playing that role. She's kind of a tweener right now, but she's definitely playing more of the face, so we had that set as a potential, but it doesn't look like that's necessarily a great move to go into. And, of course, Jessie and Cassie were great at this time. They were looking very good out there. I don't know. It's 48. If we can get Kylie Ray's popularity up, we could probably move her into a better position. Right now, we just have an issue of that. Pretty much, if your name's not Britt Baker or Thunder Rosa, you're not really performing very well in our women's division. And that's a problem we got to try to fix, because it's not good. Afterwards, CM Punk comes out with a little bit of a save, though honestly, for a CM Punk angle, this performs pretty poorly. He cuts a promo on what he's going to do next, what's on the horizon. Before he can really answer, Taz and Ricky Starks come out to the stage to respond to him. Taz starts blabbing, doing the usual thing, but Ricky Starks actually grabs the mic out of Taz's hand and starts cutting a promo at Punk. He goes, "You see, Punk, you came here thinking that you're reincarnated. This little wrestling messiah here to save the industry. But in reality, you're just a fossil. A relic of a bygone time waiting for its extinction day. Nobody cares about what your next challenge is. What's my next belt? Oh, who do I think's super cool? Everybody just wants to know who is the one that's going to give you your first loss. Who's the one that you're going to be forced to put over? Well, pal, you're looking at him. That I'm absolutely sure." Punk's smirking at him, and before he can even respond, he's chop blocked in the back of the leg by Powerhouse Hobbs, who attacks him and beats him up from behind, sneaking into the ring. And all three of Team Taz leave, laughing, seemingly building up a feud between Ricky Starks and CM Punk. Powerhouse Hobbs unfortunately performed poorly in the segment. CM Punk did great. So did Taz, and ultimately we only get a 63 for this. It's fine, but it is what it is. In a fairly decent match, Christian Cage versus Luchasaurus got a 61. Christian Cage defeated Luchasaurus in 11 minutes and 45 seconds with pinfall after a kill switch. We advance Christian Cage's storyline, and he has defeated the dinosaur. Christian Cage actually made Luchasaurus look particularly strong during this segment. He was very giving in this match, apparently. Uses superior skills to make Luchasaurus particularly strong. The match was better as a result. Thank you, Mark Henry. After that, we have Christian Cage, in a sign of disrespect, grabs the beaten Luchasaurus and rips off his mask. Luchasaurus is forced to hide his face. Christian Cage starts then kicking him in the gut as he throws the dinosaur mask just, out to the ring, outside the ring. Leaves Jungle Boy coming in, rushing from the stage to come in for the save. Christian Cage ends up just slinking away and letting Jungle Boy tend to the injured Luchasaurus, who ends up grabbing his mask and putting it back on. Gets a 62. We foreshadow that heel turn. I thought there was there it is. We will set it for the turn. Complete success. Cage is the ultimate heel now as we build up this feud between Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. We have a fairly solid promo between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. There's not much to say about it. It's a pretty standard one, so I didn't write a lot. Just Rosa and Baker having a back and forth on the mic, leading to a brawl. It does okay. It's 64. Not much to say about it. It's just kind of okay. But, 64 is higher than our average, so as long as we stay above that, we're looking okay. Also, a slightly underperforming segment. Kenny Omega has a backstage interview with JR, with Don Callis at his wing. And they talk about, obviously, the betrayal and the breakdown of the Super Elite. And Kenny Omega goes, yeah, I'm stunned, of course. I should have seen it coming, I suppose. When I saw Adam Cole arrive, it was concerning, because he's always been a weasel. He's a mid-carder with a chip on his shoulder who always thought of himself as a top guy. But he's no Kenny Omega, and he never will be. He had a ceiling, and when we worked together, he wasn't happy with the fact that he had a ceiling, with being in my shadow. So he left, and he found out, well, that ceiling still existed elsewhere. Oh well, that's reality. The Bucks, Kenny sighs. I don't know what's gotten into them. But they clearly lost their edge. We saw that. We gave them space after their disgraceful loss. But honestly, the Elite are about being champions. I'm the champion. You got the Good Brothers are champions. We're all about the gold. And if you aren't a champion, you don't really belong in the circle. You can't really be elite. That's just simply the way it is. And Don Callis interrupts. He goes, besides all of this, Kenny Omega, Pro Wrestling Illustrated #1 wrestler of the world, has more important issues to attend to than loser friends. He's got a big match with Kota Ibushi, and that's where our attention is at, where it matters. The Super Clique can go hang out in catering. So Kenny Omega kind of basically saying, if you don't have gold, you don't belong in the Elite, casting out Matt and Nick Jackson, saying that Adam Cole's a nothing, really disrespecting both of them. Segment gets a 68. We got the Dark Order versus the Hardy Family Office. This match kinda sucks. It got decent reaction from the crowd, but had terrible wrestling. Hardy Family Office end up defeating the Dark Order. The Butcher pins Alex Reynolds after the Bunny interfered and caused a distraction. It's a 12-minute match. It's a 49. It's not great. Angelico seemed off his game. I don't know what to say about this. It's not very good. Afterwards, in a really bad segment, Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver argue and bicker about the reason for their loss. The argument is halted by the sudden eruption of violence as Stu Grayson viciously superkicks his old partner Evil Uno, leaving him completely out cold on the ground. Alex and Silver look completely shocked, not sure what to do, before 10 attacks John Silver from behind and lays him out, leaving Alex Reynolds alone to be double-teamed by Stu and 10. 2 swift kicks KO him on the ground. Alan Angels, meanwhile, is watching ringside, looking completely shocked as the Dark Order completely breaks down. We lose heat for the story. Silvers was acting, but struggled to be off script. I don't know. This was a bad segment, but we now have Grayson, seemingly betraying the Dark Order. 10 joining him. Seemingly, Uno, Silver, and Reynolds are still part of the Dark Order, but 10 and Stu Grayson seems to be departing. Eddie Kingston and Rey Fenix have their TNT title match. It's a pretty good match. 68. Eddie Kingston had a 62. Rey Fenix had a 72. Eddie Kingston, though, did defeat Rey Fenix in 12 minutes by pinfall, giving him the old back fist to the future. Gotta love to seeing it. Eddie Kingston makes that the second defense, beats his old not tag team partner, but old sort of faction partner. After the fact, we have Eddie Kingston getting attacked by the Familia. Obviously, Rey Fenix is attacking Pentagon. Roosh, Andrade, everybody is attacking Eddie Kingston after he wins. This leads to unlikely save from Santana and Ortiz, who run out and slide into the ring. They help defend Kingston. Probably a little bit of that New York bond between them, having them sent out to make the save. They fight and square off with the Rey Fenix and Pentagon, leading them out of the ring, and leaving Kingston to kind of get on his feet to square off with Andrade. He's a little shaky. Andrade is smiling at him as he stares him down. Kingston does not seem amused, but quickly he realizes why the smile is happening, as Andrade's muscle, Roosh, comes out from behind and lays him out. So we have a seeming alliance between Eddie Kingston and the Proud and Powerful, leading to maybe a potential feud. It seems like, Andrade had already mentioned that he wants gold on all the team. That's how you become El Idolo, right? You become the idols by having the gold. We already have the tag team partners. Andrade seems to want to go for the world title, and he wants Rush to have the TNT title. So it seems like he's going to use the numbers, use the advantage to try to take out Kingston, but Proud and Powerful are going to be a problem for them. Andrade and Ric Flair have absolutely zero chemistry together. That's good to know. Yes. We want to turn heel, everybody. Perfect. In our main event, it's a 72. Pretty good. We have Darby Allin versus Chris Jericho, ending a non-feud, but we break the tie. Darby Allin does defeat Chris Jericho one-on-one in 15 minutes. Gets a coffin drop. Jericho has a 76. Darby Allin has a 68. Got the crowd buzzing. So, was not a fluke. Darby Allin is able to beat Jericho, and we end the show with a pretty good babyface win there. Gets us a 65, which is a total of 2 points above our average. Unfortunately, that does mean we lose points, because if we are between... Oh, no, it doesn't mean we lose points. Actually, I lied. It's 1 point if we're over 5. We just get 0 points. 0 points. We don't grow, but we don't lose points either. It's only when we meet the average. So if we had gotten 63, we would have lost 1 point. But we don't gain points, so we just are there. That's fine. We'll take there is fine. But overall, a real up and down show with some really weak lows, but some pretty decent highs. I kind of would have liked to see a little bit more green in the mix here. It is what it is. But it is the unfortunate reality of AEW. Sometimes some of those undercard matches can underperform, and especially the Dark Order here was a real disappointment. Hopefully we can build something out of that. I am going to make a separate feud between Grayson and Uno, and that's going to be our breakup team that we're going to try to complete that objective with. So we will see if we can accomplish that. But, yeah, kind of a mixed show. Still not too bad. We got some mail. Andrade says, Jack Evans has poor in-ring psychology. And we had a 0.87, which is 1.4 million viewers. Not too bad. Yeah, overall, not a bad show. So we know what we want to do here. We had Mira making a donation. We have several storylines building forward. We have Bray Wyatt, which we have to have a good name for him, ready to debut at some point. We have Witching Hour coming up soon, which sure feels like a great place to debut a Bray Wyatt. And we have a feud between Stu and Uno to build up, in addition to the larger Dark Order storyline. And we have to have that get up to, I believe it was, you guys can see it, I need this, a 60 heat. So that's going to be a little bit difficult, but we have until November. So we have some time to build that up to hopefully get those points. We'll have to see if that works out. Thank you guys for joining. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and like the video, because it does help out. It gets us ranked, it gets us momentum. Just like this episode's all about momentum, YouTube Game's all about momentum too. So help support this save if you like it by making sure that you are subscribed and that you are liking the video. And let me know in the comments about what we were talking about earlier. I'd like to hear your feedback. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great one.